James brought the academic, practical and spiritual together in a special way. What skill you have in making everything come to life, and what an amazing story there is to tell about the truths set out in the Bible. It's difficult to decide on my number one exhibit, but I thought the start with the extraordinary treasures from Ur was one of the best and most brain-catching introductions to any lecture I have attended.
Have you ever wondered about the truth of the stories in the Bible and the people in the Bible? Would you like to see an early Christian manuscript, a real one? What about seeing the whole complete Bible, the oldest Bible in the world? It's next to King's Cross Station. Or many other artefacts that will bring the Bible to life. If you'd like to, then you must come on one of my tours. My name is James Gregg. I live in Oxford with my wife Emily and our two children, Alistair and Isabel. I studied law in London and then theology in Cambridge. I've had 9 years in Christian ministry, but right now I'm working in private practice as a lawyer. I do these tours regularly at weekends and have been featured in the Times Online as a lawyer with a difference, shall we say. But I'd love you to come. Well, why do I do these tours and what will you see on them? Well, I do these tours for three reasons. The first is I really want people to be convinced of the truth of the Bible. And when you come along and you see the dates, the places, the people, you realise that this is not just a set of myths and stories, but it's really grounded in history. You'll see the names Hazael, Omri, Jehu etched into stone on the black steel of Shalmaneser III. These are names that you and I read in 2 Kings, and they're there in a non-Christian record. You'll see the Cyrus cylinder, the record of Cyrus ordering that the Jews, or ordering that peoples go back to worship in their own countries, and you realise that I can believe what's said at the end of Chronicles and the beginning of Ezra about the return of the Jews from exile by the command of a pagan god. That's encouraging, that God can use anybody to accomplish his purposes. The second thing is I want to encourage preachers and teachers out there. Sometimes it's tough to keep your sermons interesting, and I've preached a few tough ones in my time. Do some extra research, come along, add some colour, do your congregations a favour and add something else in there. The third thing, of course, is just bringing the Bible to life. And I love the royal game of Ur. This was a little game that was found buried in many tombs of people in the city of Ur, where Abraham was from. This was a bit like being buried with your favourite Nintendo DS or Mario Kart game. People would be buried with these games. And this was a game that Abraham played with Isaac. I mean, I know it. I know it just as much as I know that every English father will play football with his son at some time. And you say, well, why do I need to know about the royal game of Ur? I mean, where is that mentioned in the Bible? Is it key to understanding the prophecies? Well, no. But what it does, it helps us see that these are real people. They wake up, the day they made their big decisions of faith was a morning they woke up, got out of bed, did breakfast, just the usual things. And so it really will make the Bible come to life for you. One warning I have is there may be one or two things that you have to change your opinion on. I remember one lady who was very sad and crying in Israel because she didn't see the nice sandy beaches around the Sea of Galilee that she knew and loved from the Bible, no, but from the children's Bible pictures and from the cartoons. But of course, there aren't any sandy beaches around the Sea of Galilee. And the Bible doesn't say there are, it just says there were fishermen there at the shore and there are big stone rocks, and there always have been, however deep or high you go with the water level. So there may be one or two things where you find your understanding corrected slightly as we go around and see what's in the museum. Now, what will you see when you're there? Well, let me give you a taster. First of all, the Rosetta Stone, the key to understanding the hieroglyphs. Then there's the Taylor Prism, which is the Assyrian record of the disastrous Assyrian campaign in which 185,000 Assyrians were killed by a destroying angel. I mean, just think for a moment, how will you record that event if you are trying to write the official Assyrian record? Well, come and find out. There's the Nabonidus Cylinder, which explains the ending of Daniel and why explains the death of Belshazzar, and yet the Persian records refer to the last king of the Babylonians being taken captive. How do you reconcile those? Well, they're reconciled by this little cylinder that was found in one corner of a temple where Nabonidus was working, Belshazzar's father. You'll see the Codex Sinaiticus, you'll see Codex Alexandrinus, you'll see the Lachish Ostraka, you'll see the Cyrus cylinder I've already mentioned. There's the Lachish relief, which is like a video in stone. There are the Elgin marbles. many things, almost too many to mention, and if that's not enough, as a bonus I'll throw in 3 wonders of the ancient world. Now that's not bad going when you consider that one of them is the pyramids and we couldn't get them out of Egypt, and 2 or 3 of them have fallen into the sea. The Colossus of Rhodes, the lighthouse at Alexandria. So there's a lot of great things you'll see. Now you may be slightly put off by saying, well, me and museums just don't go together. Why would I enjoy this tour? Well, I can relate to you. I remember being dragged round by my well-meaning mother around museums and shops, and it was tedious, and I was too small, and it was dull, and the ground was always really hard, and that was my memory growing up. But you know, when you've got a guide to take you to the important things, to cut through all the rows and galleries and rooms and take you straight through to things that really matter to your life, and as you read and follow the Bible, suddenly it comes to life. And that's what I can do. I can cut a channel to you from what's in these museums and these exhibits to make a difference in your life and in your belief. Why do I keep doing these tours? I suppose, like a lot of teachers, when there's something precious to you that you enjoy it almost becomes more precious, and you get more enjoyment when you see others sharing the same pleasure. And I know when I go around during the tours, sometimes there are moments of collective silence and awe, and it doesn't always happen at the same point, but as the penny drops and people suddenly realise the Bible's really true, or what if everything is true, or I need to stop doubting. This is really great, and the Bible comes to life and they have an encounter with God there in the museum, and lives change. And I've seen people writing to me afterwards and saying just how their lives have changed, how they've been encouraged and inspired by the things that they've seen. I've had the privilege of going to many of the best museums in the world. There's the Ashmolean Museum here in Oxford, the Oriental Institute in Chicago, the Pergamon Museum in Berlin, the Louvre in Paris, and then you have the Shrine of the Book and the Israel Museum in Israel. But of all these, the very best places for you to come to see the truth of the Bible explained and revealed is the British Museum in London, without a doubt. But in spite of that, many people in the UK, even among Christians, don't know what's there. How big do you think the sling stones were that David threw at Goliath? I mean, really? I mean, like a pebble? Well, why don't you come along to the museum and see the size of the regulation sling stone sizes that were used in the Assyrian army? They would definitely fell a bear or a lion. These are some of the things that you'll see. But you do need a guide. If you're interested in the Bible, and if you like learning, then you will love the tour. So why not come along? We'll end with some quotes given by people who've come on the tour and enjoyed it. Thank you.
We learned many fascinating facts which, without guidance, would have taken us many visits on our own to discover. To see a copy of the Bible from 350 AD was my most moving moment. I appreciated last Saturday not just for the group but for me personally as well. It was great how what you said during the day was both intellectually informative and spiritually challenging. Many people commented on the papyrus at the British Library, but for me it was those pottery shards from Lachish which blew me away. We especially liked the details about Ur and Chaldean culture, which showed Abraham was much more sophisticated than we might have thought. My wife liked the seals that were used to seal documents and letters. I liked the way James brought out details from what we were looking at, which supported what we read in the Bible. Perhaps the highlight for me was the Codex Sinaiticus, which I've always wanted to see. What a fabulous treasure. You made the whole day stimulating and easy to understand. I've been waiting to go on one of your trips, and I'm very pleased to have finally made it and have no hesitation to recommend it to others. May all who go on your future trips have as much blessing as we ourselves have received. I would definitely recommend to others, come and be ready to be amazed.